What's going on, everyone? Nick here, and welcome back to the channel. So I wanted to give my reaction and review to the DUNE IMAX preview footage that I saw last night, because basically I got back home from the theater and I had some other movies to watch, so I couldn't get my thoughts out last night, but I still did want to talk about the footage, what I saw, and kind of the experience of watching this footage on an IMAX screen in a theater, because it really feels different than watching, say, the new trailer that just premiered online a couple hours ago. So first things first, there are going to be spoilers in this, obviously, because I'm going to be talking about, the first 10 minutes of footage of the movie, along with another scene they showed off in full to us, and some other, behind the scenes stuff and whatnot. So if you guys are interested in going to this movie as blind as possible, then you probably want to avoid this video, but if not, here we go. So the first 10 minutes of the movie open up with a narration actually from Zendaya's character, Cheney. She talks about Arrakis and the Fremen people and how they've been terrorized by the Harkonnens, and it really showcases the Beast Raban and the other Harkonnens terrorizing these people and routinely harvesting the spice. She talks about how her planet looked so beautiful before the invaders came and basically just did away with them and did whatever they wanted to. Another interesting thing about the opening is it actually opens with a title card that says Dune Part 1. So they're being very specific about how this is Part 1 and Part 2, how the book is being split in two for these two different movies. So I actually think that's pretty cool, and maybe that gives us more hope that Warner Brothers and Legendary are really going to commit to making that second movie, regardless of what happens with the box office records. But anyways, moving on, so we get a really cool fight sequence between the Fremen and the Harkonnens as they attack a couple of their giant spice harvesters. You see missiles flying everywhere, and it really showcases Cheney as a leader type character. She's not in the background, she's not like a young child or anything. It really seems like she's leading the Fremen people, and she's actually taking a leadership type role with them. Now after that, we cut to Caladan and we see some life with Paul Atreides and his mother, Jessica. It's kind of a smaller moment. We see them waking up, having breakfast. We see a glimpse of Paul having a vision of Cheney on Arrakis, and he doesn't really know what it is. His mother questions him about it because she seems that she can sense that there's something off about him this morning, but she doesn't know quite what it is. And we also see Paul practicing his mind control ways of the voice. They don't really explain what it is, but they, explain that it's some sort of mental capacity, mental mind control capability. One other thing that I forgot to mention is that during Cheney's narration, she actually explains the basics of the Dune universe and the storyline with the spice, how the spacing guilds use it and all that sort of thing, and it really comes across as natural. It's not like a bunch of information shoving down your throat. It's all taking place within, 4 or 5 minutes, all this narration and exposition, and I was actually kind of impressed at the fact that they were able to get across the main basic core elements of the Dune universe within such a short amount of time, because the Dune world is very chock full of all kinds of stuff, something that could be overwhelming for someone who has never experienced this universe before, and they do it in a really efficient way. Now, the last part of the 10-minute footage that we saw was a scene in which House Atreides is met with delegates from the Emperor and House Carino, and basically the Emperor sent his delegates to meet with them and say, hey, we need you guys to take over Arrakis and be the new stewards of the planet for the Empire. And it's a great scene because it showcases the character dynamics between Paul and his father, Duke Leto, and also a little humorous moment between Leto and Gurney. But one thing it really gets across is the sense of scale that this movie is going to have. The ship that the delegates arrive on is this massive, sphere-like craft, and it really reminded me out of something of Arrival. So overall, I love the first 10 minutes of footage, and another cool thing was they showed off a full scene in which Paul, Leto, and Gurney are all on Arrakis, flying around in ornithopters, and they have Dr. Liet Kynes with them. And basically what she's doing is telling them about the planet, how their spice harvesters get attacked by sandworms, and how to detect a sandworm, and in that moment, a sandworm actually starts coming for one of the giant spice harvesters, and basically they have 5 minutes to get out of there and to rescue the crew. Now, what ends up happening is Leto calls in the carryall to get the harvester out of there, but the carryall has a malfunction, so Leto makes the decision to send the ornithopters on the ground and rescue the troops like that. And essentially it's a really intense scene because, you know, they're racing against the clock, they have this giant monstrosity coming, this gigantic, massive worm that really, you know, it looks like the entire desert is moving towards them with the waves that this worm is making. And it almost reminded me of the scene from Interstellar where they land on the planet with the waves coming towards them. You know, it has that kind of tension to it, and Paul has this moment where he starts hearing voices in his head, and you can get the sense that something is happening within his mind. And that's when they barely make their escape, and the giant sandworm engulfs the entire spice harvester like it was nothing. So overall, the footage looked amazing in IMAX. It's definitely meant to be seen in the format. In some of the behind the scenes stuff they showed off as well, Denny really talks about how this is the format to watch the movie. It was filmed with IMAX in mind, and that's how you should experience it. So overall, amazing stuff. I love the trailer too, which is out online, by the way. I'm going to be talking about that in a separate video. Comment below, did you guys actually make it out to this event? What are your thoughts on the footage? There have been some detailed descriptions out there because the press were able to see it a day early. So if you guys are interested in trying to find a more detailed description of what was shown, I'll leave a link down below so you guys can read that in full. So if you guys are new to the channel and you like this video, subscribe and hit the bell so you can be notified whenever I drop new content. If you want to hit me up on social media to talk about Dune or anything in pop culture, you can find me in the links down below. And with all that being said, I'll catch you guys next time.